Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast. Welcome back to the Ninja Selling Podcast. We got Matt and Garrett with you again. We're going to have some fun with you guys today. As we get started, if you want to learn more about Ninja and all the things that we talk about, go to ninjaselling.com. If you actually want to go and listen to or learn from people that you are listening to this podcast as well, you can go check out the Ninja Selling Podcast community on Facebook. If you want to learn more about coaching and all of our amazing coaches to help you implement Ninja in your business, there's two things you can do. Go to ninjacoaching.com and you can connect with us there. You can also go check out the episodes, bonus episodes we've been doing, which is the Ninja Coaching Spotlights, in which we actually specifically interview some of the people that have gone through coaching. We're going to be adding more and more and more of these as we go through this year and in the future. So with that being said, Matt, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Garrett. I'm over here. You're over there. A little inside joke on that one. Dude, I'm happy to dive in. I'm excited and happy to dive into this topic today, talking about free time versus fun time. Free time is something realtors like. Free time. What's that? Like, what is free time? But there's also realtors like, I have tons of free time and I don't know what to do with it. Right. And we tend to like talk about too, and could also just be the way we use language as well, right? Because people are like, oh, I know what my free time looks like, right? But I want to be specific with this language because we talk about getting people more free time, but is free time actually what you seek? Is free time going to be productive for you, whether that's productive for your business or just productive for your life in general? And I had this chat with a client. I'm excited to chat with you about it too, Garrett, because you also have a story around this.
Well, I think, it's funny as we get to certain places in our life and you're like, what do you have planned for the weekend? You're like, nothing. Like I have nothing planned. Like I have no, and that's very rare that we have nothing planned. But, you brought up this idea of this free time and fun time. And I said, give me your background on it. And you said, like, what are your thoughts around this? And you said, that idea of free time, which is nothing's planned, which is very unproductive, and fun time, which is like doing things we love we have things planned. We've put things in place that we can go accomplish and what things we want to do. Well, I just experienced this on my birthday. So I had a birthday. And this is the first birthday ever that I, for some reason, didn't see coming. I think it's just because the pace that I'm running at right now and the things that I got going on, and it just wasn't that important to me. And so it was just one of those moments of like, oh crap, I have a birthday. It happened a week before the birthday. I realized it. And then the day before the birthday was the next time it actually crossed my mind. And I realized that I had a day packed full of 7 coaching calls is what I had on my birthday. I realized this at 5:00 at night, Matt. And I was talking with my mother-in-law and she's like kind of laughing at me going like, oh, like, what are you going to do? And in a matter of about 10 minutes, I cleared my calendar. I was like, you know what? I'm taking my day. I feel bad that I'm doing this to my coaching clients, but you know what? They're going to understand. It's my birthday. Like, come on. They can't play with me on this one. And I'm sorry, guys. I realized I might have messed up your schedules and your calendars. I could have given you a little bit more notice. But I cleared it. And it was interesting because I woke up the next morning and I went downstairs and I was kind of hanging out in the kitchen. And then I found myself hanging out at the table. And then I opened up my computer and started kind of doing some little searches and stuff. And then I kind of wandered out in the garage, looked at the projects I kind of got out there. Projects that, you kind of like got to get into. They're not like ones you can just go like, oh, like I'll tighten that bolt on that. And then that feels pretty good. I'm going to go walk over here and go do something else. Like everything in my life and everybody's life is like, we got projects that we need to sit down and commit to if we're going to do them. Very fun, by the way. All my projects are fun projects that I was looking at. But I found myself 2 hours later, just wandering around the house, like sitting and back down at the computer, doing some searches real quick, walking over here. My wife came out and she's like, are you going to do anything today? Like, this is your day. Like, you got a day off. And I was like, well, I could go up to the lake. I could go this way and go check on this. I got some things I want to do on the car. And it was a moment that all of a sudden I said, because I'm working on my garage, I said, I want to go get some certain lights for the garage. I'm trying to fully light the garage. So I'm going to run to Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight, by the way, total plug for Harbor Freight. If any of you have a Harbor Freight anywhere near you, go hang out there. Amazing place. It'll make you feel like a real person. So on my way, and she goes, well, did you research what kind of lights you could have in the garage, which that then turned into now I had a project in my mind. I'd already committed to go doing lights. Now I'm going to look at this, which by the way, you can get some crazy things that got way more expensive than I ever want to put in this garage. But all of a sudden I became focused because that then turned into, well, if I'm going to do the lights, I need to paint the ceiling. So now I've got run to Lowe's. We need to go get paint. So I got paint on there. I've got certain lights I want to check out while I'm there. I want to make sure I can figure this out. And then all of a sudden it says, okay, so am I going to actually commit to painting the roof today? Well, no, but I want to have all the supplies here. So it's all of a sudden it became very systematized. Because then I started going okay, there are projects I do want to get done on the car today. Well, let's list those out. And started making a list of these little things that I was like, okay, I'm running Lowe's. Now I'm going to come back. I'm actually going to go in and commit time to being on, laying on my back inside of a car for a couple hours. And all of a sudden I got really hyper effective with the day. But there was a plan put in place. It wasn't just free time. Free time, I was all over the place. And then all of a sudden, I got a plan put around it, all fun, all stuff I want to be doing, all stuff that lights me up. And I got super hyper effective with it. And this is where you started sharing this, Matt. I was like, I just experienced this in my world. And free time sounds great. It is super ineffective just to have free time.
Yeah. Well, I find two things happen with free time. One, like what happened with you, where you're like, I don't know what to do. And let's say you didn't find something productive at the end of the day. You're like, man, I kind of just feel like I wasted today.
I could have blown the entire day if I didn't have kind of that moment of okay, now I have a project that I want to work on. It could have easily turned into getting really nothing done and everybody going, how was your birthday? And me going, I wish I would have worked.
Well, and that's the other thing that happens is you'll just go right back to work. If there's no fun, quote unquote, plan, you just turn it back into work. And you hear this happen all the time. It's like, yeah, I had this free block of time and then it got consumed with work. I said, because there was no definition around it, which by the way, the definition could be, I'm going to go sit by the pool and have a margarita. That's going to be my fun time.
An hour in, I actually had that feeling where I said, I shouldn't have canceled my calls.
And that's what happens when we're looking at, and so this is my thought around this, Garrett, is we should be looking at any free blocks as, how do I make that fun time? How do I make, and it could be just defining exactly what you already are going to do with it, which is nothing. Nothing can be a whole lot of fun. I just had this conversation with a buddy of mine yesterday. He's going to be selling his house and he put all this work into it. I'm like, dude, why? What are you selling me? He's like, man, we just are so close to just selling it all. He's got a couple businesses and he's like getting a boat and just going, right? And just sitting there and doing nothing. And I'm like, that's his fun time, right? But it's clearly defined. A lot of people be like, sit on a boat and do nothing. That sounds like not productive. It's like, it doesn't matter. We're not talking about productive time. We're talking about fun time, things that are going to bring you joy. And when you see blocks of free time, we look and say, man, I got a lot of free time coming up. It's going to be great. It's like, is it? Is it going to be great? Are you going to make it great for you by having something that you can do that you enjoy so that you don't get sucked into work? Because this is the other thing. If there isn't something planned, if you don't put up the defenses, what happens is what you think is going to be fun time all of a sudden gets pings and dings coming in. And you're like, oh, well, I'll just answer this one email. I'll just take this one call. And I've done this a lot, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I'm going to take Friday afternoon off. It's going to be so good. And then I go in and check the email. I'm like, gosh. So part of it also is making sure you set the expectations for yourself to be prepared, because those Fridays, they're done. It's work all the way up until the kids come home. And defining that fun time, man, crucial.
Well, and again, whether it's fun time or just getting control of your time, there's a reason we have a planning meeting at the beginning of every week.
Oh, that's an aspect.
It's your way to say, okay, here's my hours that are allotted to me and how are we going to make these the most effective ever? And I think it's good to have time in there where I'm just going to go and sit on the boat up at the lake and put my feet up and read a book. And that's what I'm going to do. That is my objective for that block of time there. And I'm going to love every moment because I gave that time to me. I think those are really beneficial hours we can have in our life. At the same point, if I look back at my birthday, the best thing that I probably could have done is taken the time, and before the day arrived, before I got into that time, is to sit down and say, look, I've given myself some hours here. I've given myself what I want to see out of this day. Now let's come up with how am I going to make it something I'm going to look back on and say, man, that was a great day. And then you can start coming into some pieces. The one thing that I knew I was going to do early on, was that we were not going out to dinner on my birthday. That was a dead set thing. I was barbecuing. I'm like, I'm going to go out and spend time with my barbecue in the backyard and hang out and cook way more food than we possibly need for my family. But I want to have all the sausages, and I want to have all the chicken, and I want to have all the vegetables. Like, let's do it. Like, let's make it a whole menagerie of food. That was my plan. But it's funny, as I didn't have anything really scheduled before that. And 5:00 that night, when I canceled all those calls, I probably could have gone out and sat in my car, leaving my mother-in-law's house, and just sat down and said, what would make today or tomorrow a really awesome day? What projects would I want to work on? What would I want to spend my time on? Because I probably would have jumped out of bed earlier. I probably would have ran downstairs, and anybody who knows me, I have a pair of coveralls. That's like, when those coveralls go on, it's garage time.
Well, and that brings up a point of having things in your world, whether they're productive or fun or whatever, that you can just go do when free time arrives, because sometimes free time's unexpected.
Yeah.
That client cancels on you. Oh, that call cancels. Or, oh, this got changed. And now all of a sudden I'm staring down, 30 minutes, an hour of free time. What do I do? And I think there's a couple of routes we can go. We can have a default productivity plan, like, hey, let me just go grab my list and make some calls. Or it could be, that's just exactly what I was going to go to, is Garrett picked up a book. Have a book always sitting there. And I've actually found, Garrett, in between coaching calls, sometimes even if I have 10 minutes and I'm already prepped for the next call, I'll just pick up my book and read a couple pages.
Yep.
And it feels really good. And because maybe I learned something that I can actually use on my next coaching call too. And it's fun. So having something that you can go to that can fill that free time as it arrives, so that you feel really good about it. And sometimes it might be, I'm going to grab a nap. I'm going to grab a power nap, or I'm going to go prep some food for myself or for the family, or I'm going to go work on this real estate review project that I've been putting off because it's there. I have it ready to go. I just got to dive into it. Having these backup plans for this unexpected free time can just make you feel productive, can make you feel good. And like, don't we all want, I think that's a lot of it where I'm coming at it from, is I want to feel good at the end of the time slots. I don't want to feel like time is wasted. And ultimately we can't look at time as wasted, because the present moment is all we have, and we can get into that whole discussion, but I still want to feel good.
So what if we look at it this way too? Because it's funny, before having this conversation with you, Matt, I was looking at my morning on my birthday going, man, your ADD is off the chart today. You just can't get focused on anything. You're bouncing over here, you're bouncing over there, you're bouncing over here. And believe me, I've got it diagnosed. I know I have it. But here's the interesting thing is that, was it really ADD, or was it just lack of a plan?
Yeah.
Seriously, that's probably what it was. And we sit here and I know there's a lot of listeners out here that are going like, yeah, I do that same thing, and that's my ADD. I can't figure out, like, I can't just sit in one spot. And it's like, well, did you really have a plan to sit in one spot and work on one specific thing? Or do you have a whole list of things that you want to do, but no real, like, this is my dedicated time to work on that? And then you find yourself bouncing from thing to thing to thing and not really being able to be focused. And it's like, I don't know, maybe the ADD isn't the answer. Maybe it's actually just sitting down and coming up with a better plan for yourself so you can be focused with your time.
I do find self-diagnosed ADD is the biggest excuse that exists from actually doing things.
Yep.
And I emphasize self-diagnosed because I know this is a big topic, and I don't want to go down that.
Oh, we should.
That place. And real estate industry does attract a lot of people who might actually be diagnosed with attention deficit or attention hyperdeficit, ADHD. Sales in general attracts that kind of person. But it's like sitting yourself and making excuses for how you're handling your free time, when it's like, hey, let's just be a little proactive, which is hard. I get it. I'm not saying this is easy to do. I'll probably have a free time block tomorrow that's going to be, quote, wasted, because I'll be like, yeah, I got that free time. I'll, maybe do this, and this. And I'll just sit there and be like, It's like when people go and watch Netflix. Like, how many times you open up Netflix, like, let's find something. And you spend an hour watching trailers and doing things, and then you're like, there's nothing good, and you walk away. It's like, well, maybe we need to acknowledge that we're just entertained by watching trailers for shows.
It's so painful. So painful. You just give up. You're like, I'm done. I don't even want to watch TV anymore.
This happened to me the other night when Jen's like, oh, like, is there something on? I'm like, I don't know. And like, I don't really enjoy watching a whole lot of different TV right now. And so I just had my book as a backup plan. I was like, well, fine. I'm just going to grab my book and I'll let you decide what to watch, because clearly I'm not finding something that is and we ended up finding something. We found a new show and it was really weird. And I was like, okay, that was interesting. That definitely served the purpose. Probably won't go back to the show, but it served the purpose.
But it's interesting. Okay.
And it turned into fun time.
So we rarely sit down in front of a TV, but if we sit down in front of a TV, we typically sit down with a very specific purpose of what we're going to watch. And this goes back to maximizing your time. You can very easily sit there and scroll for an hour and look at all the trailers. You can also very easily sit down and say, look, we watched The Amazing Race and we watched Survivor. That's typically the things that get my wife and my attention if we're going to bother to sit down in front of a TV, because we like to travel and we like to see those areas. And there's so many times we're making a list of the places that we want to go and the things that we want to see and the trips we want to take. But it's very, very, very specific time, except if it's Survivor. Then you just end up in Fiji over and over and over again. But I think that this is, again, getting control of your time and getting control of your free time.
Yeah, there's a bigger thing around this too, right?
Yeah. And so I think that, and I would encourage anybody who's listening to this, like, look at these time blocks that show up in your life. Look at these moments that come around you and say, one, do I have a plan for when they show up? And second is, if you know these times are coming up, these free time situations that are going to present themselves, how effective do you want to be at growing your life and adding to your life? And sometimes we just need recoup time. I'm not taking that away, but there's also a lot of things that we're like, I never have time to get that done. And the crazy thing is, when the free time shows up, you weren't prepared to do the thing that you want to actually be doing. The projects like I have on cars and things like that, I can have free time. I can have hours show up later today and I can sit out there and wander around the shop. Or I can say, look, when that project shows up, what do I need? Maybe I need to get on Amazon here for a little bit and I need to order some wiring. I need to order some other stuff, so that when that free time shows up, I can walk out there, hammer through some stuff, be very effective with my time, very successful with what I'm trying to accomplish. And this is, I think, is when most of us aren't prepared for when the time shows up.
And that's where, if you're very clear on what you want to do with your fun time, you might be able to take 10 minutes and go turn a bolt and be like, cool, I got that element done. Let me get back to what is now the next thing on my calendar. But you use that small block of time to make a little thing that saves you just a little bit of time the next time you walk into that garage. I'm thinking about this with my garage and how I got this project of getting the gym and everything all set up, which, like, I could do little things along the way to be prepared there, but I keep putting it off because I don't have a plan.
Yep.
And I don't have it blocked. It's not part of my calendar. It's not taking up space. It's not filling the free time, and it can. So, this has been helpful for me, this conversation.
Big success for birthday is when you push the start button, it actually engages the starter. Huge win.
All right. See?
Huge win. No,
huge win.
We don't have any exhaust fumes yet or anything like that. We're not there, but we having all the pieces are coming together right now.
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, Garrett and everybody listening, take that free time and see if you can just relabel it. Label it fun time. If you just change the language around it, I think it's going to help you discover, hey, what can I really use this time for me? And that will make it productive, whether it's for business or for personal or whatever else. And so I'm going to start looking at it personally as, okay, I don't have free time. I got fun time. And now I got to go think about, how do I want to fill my fun time? That's a lot more exciting than how am I going to fill my free time? I can fill it with laundry, right? No, I don't want to fill my free time and my fun time with laundry. So thanks for exploring this, Garrett. This has been a fun one for sure.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you bringing it to the table. And I think just to reiterate your free time and fun time is that, free time, you're going to walk away from saying, yep, I had some time. Fun time, you're going to walk away from saying, you know what, I got to do things that I want to do with the time that was given to me. And I think it's a great mindset to get into and
walk away with a smile, right? That's the objective here. Walk away from that time with a smile. And That's what I would just love for everybody is just more smiles. There's a whole great effect that comes from just having a good smile on your face. So awesome. Guys, if you want to learn more about podcasts, dive deeper into the Ninja Selling Podcast, head over to Facebook and search for our podcast group, the Ninja Selling Podcast. And you can join over 15,000 people who get to talk about the different episodes, who explore other things related to real estate and Ninja and support each other. It's an incredible community. You can also check us out at ninjacoaching.com, which will take you right to the coaching page on ninjaselling.com, where you can learn more about what personal coaching is, what it might be able to do for you and your business. If you're looking to follow along on the Ninja path, we are here to support you and help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve so that you have more fun time in your calendar and less, I'm always working time. So thank you as always for tuning into this podcast. We so appreciate every single one of you. Hope that you have an amazing day, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you, everybody, as always. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like more, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com.
There you will also find links for more information about Ninja Selling and coaching. Have an incredible day.